I'm an English teacher. I'm a writing teacher. You would expect me to say that writing is important. But I'm also a university administrator. I don't teach much English anymore. I spend most of my time doing the corporate part of the university business. And I can tell you absolutely, with complete confidence, that I've spent a lot more time writing since I became an administrator than I ever spent when I was just a writing teacher. Writing is the way we communicate in the world of work. Writing is the way that we talk to each other, our clients, our stakeholders, our shareholders, our employers, our supervisors, our supervisees. We write every day. And if you don't have a good understanding of how to write clearly, how to communicate effectively, whether it's an email, a PowerPoint, a memo, or a 300-page report that you have to write for the boss, you're going to be at a disadvantage in any company that you're part of. So this first podcast just talks very generally about what good writing is and why it's so important. Here are a few statistics from your book that I hope will get you thinking. First place, 40 million people in the United States alone have problems reading and writing at a level of minimal competency for the business world. 40 million people, a huge percentage of our adult workforce, cannot write well enough to get a simple point across and do so effectively. That's a problem. Currently, state governments spend about $220 million a year addressing the problems that come from inadequate writing. That's either by training people, by giving people remedial education, or by having to fix stuff that gets messed up because people don't write well enough to take care of it. Corporations spend $3.1 billion a year addressing these same kinds of problems. What this means, somebody has figured out, is that bad writing, ineffective communication, written communication that doesn't do what it's supposed to do costs our economy about $22.13 per page for all of the writing that's done. Here are a couple of trends you might want to watch out for. First of all, as you might have heard, the world is flat. That means that the economy is now global, and the communication technologies are such that the kinds of work that used to have to be done on site can now be done anywhere. We can have email and PDF files and teleconferencing, and that means that work that used to have to be done in Detroit for a company that was in Detroit can now be done in Bangalore, India, almost as easily. This means that employers have a lot of choices in who they employ. Second, millions of Americans are becoming eligible to retire. The entire baby boom generation is now retiring or is within a few years of retiring. This means that a lot of jobs are going to be vacant. Put these two trends together, and what you get is the fact that there are going to be a lot of jobs in the United States in the next few years, but American employers are going to have a lot of opportunities on how to fill these jobs. The American worker has to be more competitive than workers from lots of other countries who are in very competitive environments, have very high standards, and are willing to accept lower salaries. Why does this make writing important? Because if American workers cannot write to the level of competence required for a job, employers now have a lot of other choices. Okay, let's talk about a few things that just ain't so. Some myths that students in college often tell themselves in order to try to avoid having to learn how to write. First, I've heard a lot of people say, especially people in business, I don't need to learn how to write this, I'm going to have a secretary. Well, guess what? I have 2 full-time secretaries in my office, and I still spend 60% of my time doing writing. The internet, as I said, the new global economy has drastically multiplied the number and kinds of writing that we have to do in the business world, and executives do and are paid to do their own writing. Secretaries sometimes enter data, occasionally retype something, but they do not generate the texts that you, as an executive, will be paid to generate. Second, people say I'll use form letters and templates and I'll just sign my name as if this were even possible anymore. 50 years ago, it might have been possible to work mainly with form letters, but now that a vast amount of what used to be done over the phone is conducted over email, it's not possible. There are so many kinds of writing, from email to PowerPoint to large reports. There aren't enough form letters possible to account for even a fraction of that writing. Third, People say, and I have had a lot of students say in my career as a writing teacher, why do I have to learn all this grammar stuff? All I want to do is get my point across. Well, correct grammar does help you get your point across, but more than that, one of the points that you're trying to get across is, I am a competent person. You should give me your business. You should employ me. You should give me a raise. And if your writing is bad, if your writing is ungrammatical, if your writing does not look professional, you are not communicating that message, which very often is more important than any other message that you can communicate with a given piece of. Good writing of all kinds has a lot in common, but good business writing has some special rules and conventions that we're going to focus on in this class. Good business writing, good writing in the workplace, is trying to do something. And the success, whether or not it's good writing, is really going to be measured by whether or not it does what it's supposed to do. A few guidelines from your book. First of all, good writing is clear. It does not try to make things difficult to understand. It doesn't embellish. It doesn't have a lot of flourishes. It says very directly what it needs to say in order to accomplish its purpose. Second, good writing is complete. You don't want to spend the time with follow-up emails or telephone conversations or meetings to try to make sure that you've covered everything that you should have covered in your writing. So make sure you put everything in the text that you're creating that you need to put in there. Third, good writing is correct. Mistakes cost time, mistakes cost money, mistakes cost business and jobs, and you need to make sure that what you say the first time you say it is correct, or you're going to have to spend the resources trying to unring the bell. Good writing in the business world builds goodwill. With people in the company, with clients, customers, board members, good writing is going to say to people, this is an organization that you want to be involved with, and I am a person that you want to value and promote within the organization. Finally, good writing saves the reader time. Don't say in a lot of words what you can say in a few words. Don't say with a memo what you can say in an email. Don't say something you don't need to say at all if you don't need to say it, because in business, time really is money. So what should you expect in this class? I intend to have fun. I hope you have fun. This is the first time I've taught a distance learning course since back in the days when we did it with text and without pictures or graphics or the video files we have now. I hope that the podcast format is something that's usable and fun for you. But I can't promise you fun. It would be foolish for me to try. What I can promise you is that if you watch the podcasts, read the book, and perhaps most importantly of all, do the assignments, because the assignments are the practice. If you do all of these things, you're going to learn to write better. You're going to learn how to say things more clearly. And when you're in the business world, dealing in a situation where you are judged every day by the quality and clarity of your writing, I think you will be glad that you put in the time.